Imagine this. You finally get the one thing you've wanted your entire life. I mean, the absolute pinnacle of your dreams. You're on top of the world. And then, it all just explodes. The dream becomes a nightmare that almost tanks your whole career. Well, that is the incredible, true story of Andrew Garfield. It's a wild ride through fame, art, and what it really means to find yourself when everything falls apart.
See, for him, this wasn't just another paycheck or a cool costume. Spider-Man was it. It was this deep, personal thing that went all the way back to when he was just 4 years old. He wasn't just playing a character. He was literally becoming his childhood hero. And that right there is what made the stakes so incredibly high and the fall so devastating.
It's a crazy question, right? How can the best thing that ever happened to you also be the worst? To really get how this all went down, we have to rewind. We got to go back to the beginning, to a time when acting wasn't even part of the plan.
Yeah, believe it or not, before Andrew Garfield was ever on a movie set, he was on a totally different track. He was actually born in the US, but his family moved to the UK when he was 3, and his dad was a swim coach for Great Britain's junior team, so naturally, Andrew was pushed into becoming a serious athlete.
And he was good at it. By the time he was 12, he was nationally ranked in swimming and gymnastics. On paper, it looked great, but here's the thing. He secretly hated it. He said it felt like he was in the wrong room, living someone else's life. So he quit. And just like that, he was completely lost, with no idea what to do. His mom tried to help, suggesting art, sculpting, anything creative. Nothing clicked. And then a friend of his needed one more person to sign up for a theater class so it wouldn't get canceled. Garfield said, sure, why not? Figured it'd be an easy grade. Instead, at 16 years old, he walked into that class and for the first time felt like he was finally in the right room.
But, this new passion just created a whole new problem. His dad was terrified. For him, acting was this unstable, unpredictable world. He really pushed Andrew to study business, to be more like his older brother who was on track to be a doctor. What Andrew found out later was that his dad actually had his own Hollywood dreams once, of being a screenwriter, but had to give them up. And that old wound made him scared for his son. So, after a lot of tough talks, they made a deal. Andrew could chase acting, but he had to study business as a backup plan, just in case.
Okay, so with his father's, let's call it reluctant blessing, Garfield went all in. And his rise wasn't some fluke. It was built on pure, undeniable talent and some seriously hard work.
First, he graduates from one of London's top drama schools. Right away, he starts making a name for himself in the UK theater world, which is no joke. There are no second takes on a stage. He starts winning awards and then lands his breakout film role in a movie called Boy A, which nabs him a BAFTA. That's basically the British Oscar. And all that buzz leads him straight to Hollywood and to the role that changed everything, playing Eduardo Saverin, the betrayed co-founder of Facebook in The Social Network.
And this quote from the director David Fincher tells you everything you need to know. Garfield actually went into audition for Mark Zuckerberg, but Fincher saw something in him, this incredible capacity for emotion, and thought it would be a total waste on a character who's so detached. So he cast him as Eduardo, the emotional core of the film. And wow, was he right. Even though he wasn't the main character, Garfield's performance is what so many of us remember. He was the heart of a story about a heartless business.
And then it happened. The dream call. The same year The Social Network came out, Andrew Garfield was announced as the next Spider-Man. But what should have been the ultimate victory lap quickly turned into a total nightmare, a brutal clash between his artistic vision and the cold, hard math of a Hollywood blockbuster.
You could see the collision coming from a mile away. On one side, you had the studio, Sony. Their goal was pretty simple. Reboot this hugely popular character just 5 years after the last movie and make as much money as possible, build a whole universe around it. But on the other side, you had the creative team, including Andrew, who wanted to really dig into Peter Parker's character, to tell a story with real emotional weight. And in the fight between art and commerce, well, commerce usually wins. The first film did well financially, but you could already see some cracks forming. The real train wreck was the sequel, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The movie was just a mess. It was stuffed with like 5 different plots, all fighting for attention. It was so obvious the studio had been meddling, cutting things up, changing the story, until the final movie felt totally incoherent. It got so bad the composer from the first film just walked away, calling the whole thing silly. The film made money, sure, but nowhere near enough to justify its insane budget. It was a failure.
So, the studio needed a scapegoat, and they pointed the finger right at Andrew. The tension just boiled over. According to some leaked emails, there was this huge press event in Brazil set up to announce the third movie. But at the last second, Garfield backed out. Apparently he wasn't feeling well. For the studio, that was it. That was the excuse they needed. They fired him and scrapped the whole thing. A brutal, public end to his childhood dream. He said the whole experience just left him heartbroken. And not just because of how he was treated, but because he had to watch his hero, this character that meant so much to him, get chewed up and spit out by the corporate machine. He realized that the story and the character, the very soul of it all, wasn't the priority, and that was a really painful lesson to learn.
After getting dropped so unceremoniously, a lot of actors would have just faded away. But Garfield did the opposite. He made a very deliberate choice. He turned his back on that blockbuster world and decided to reconnect with the one thing that got him into this in the first place, the craft. So what was the first step? He just stopped. He took a full year off. No movies, no interviews. He just got away from all the industry noise. It was a total reset, a chance to figure out what he actually wanted his career to be about, far away from the pressure of opening weekend numbers. And then he came back. And boy, did he come back with a statement. Not with another big, loud superhero movie. He came back with Silence. This incredibly intense, spiritual film directed by the legend himself, Martin Scorsese. This wasn't about fame or money. This was about the art.
And his dedication to it was just absolute. To play a 17th century priest, he spent almost a year on a silent retreat, studying, meditating, and he went on this grueling fast where he lost a shocking 18 kilograms. He wasn't just acting, he was completely transforming himself for the role.
And if that wasn't enough, in the exact same year, he also starred in Hacksaw Ridge, directed by Mel Gibson. In that, he played Desmond Doss, a real-life World War II medic who saved over 70 lives without ever even touching a weapon. Another incredibly demanding role about faith and conviction.
So what was the result of this massive pivot back to his artistic roots? An Oscar nomination. For his work in Hacksaw Ridge, Andrew Garfield got his first ever nomination for Best Actor. After being basically thrown out by the Hollywood machine, he came back and proved his incredible talent, entirely on his own terms. But this comeback wasn't just about professional redemption. That whole Spider-Man mess, combined with some really deep personal stuff happening in his life, it completely changed him. It forced him to look at what's actually important and to come up with his own definition of what success really means.
Right around the time he made that triumphant return as Spider-Man in No Way Home, a huge public victory, he was privately going through an unimaginable tragedy. He lost his mother to cancer, and that grief just shattered his whole world. He talks about it as a time when nothing made sense anymore, and how that pain taught him that some things in life are just too big to ever really understand.
So after his trip through the blockbuster grinder, he came out with a serious distaste for what he calls celebrity culture. He just sees it as empty, a toxic distraction. Now he actively avoids it. He picks his projects based on what they mean to him personally, not on how famous they'll make him. And this is what brings his whole story full circle. Someone asked him recently what his greatest achievement was, and he didn't say the Oscar nomination or playing Spider-Man. His answer was so simple and so powerful. My relationship with my father. That conflict they had at the very beginning, born out of a father's fear for his son, has healed into a bond that he now values more than any trophy or movie poster. Andrew Garfield's journey really makes you ask yourself a big question. He got it all. The dream role, the fame, the franchise, everything we're told we should want. And it nearly broke him. He found his way back not by chasing more of that, but by looking for meaning and connection and real art. It leaves you wondering, in a world that's so obsessed with fame, maybe real success is found in the things you can't count at the box office.